Alrighty, what's up guys, Matt here from Loon Outdoors. Today we're tying some small things, really tiny little stuff, kind of my winter arsenal if you will. And so in the vise I just have it's a 5/16 jig hook, or I use fully mills jig hooks, some of the Ahrex stuff as well. So this is a size 16, so this is on the large size for me. Little waxy there on the thread coming off, but 2 mil bead. It's a black faceted bead. Doesn't make a difference if it's faceted or not, or the color of the bead really. I like to use for my tail, this is a Coq De Leon. It's actually dyed a hot green, and I've been really into the hot green lately. The water's just been a little bit off color, so been kind of just getting after it with the hot green. And this is just one of those really simplistic box filling style flies. There's not a lot to it. I'm using some 50D Veevus. That's what I always use, so it's not a big surprise. But I do like using this wine colored thread, or a uni wire, sorry. This is a BR size, so it does create kind of a big rib for how thin this fly is going to be, but I like the effect of it, and I think it just adds a little bit of extra weight to the pattern. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this down the side, because these little mayflies are a little bit wider than they are tall, and I'm going to go ahead and take it almost all the way to the back, and then I'm just going to create a thread base. You can see I'm using white thread, and I told you this is going to be, blue winged olive stuff, and you're probably like, why white? It's because it's just what I tie with. I use Copic markers for 98% of my flies anyways. So I'll just create the tiniest bit of profile here. I'm going to take this Copic marker, this is pale olive, kind of dig it, darkens down really nicely, kind of just cover all of my tracks here, and I'll just go ahead and advance my thread up a bit, and then I just put in the smallest amount of ribs. Like, the ribbing doesn't even really matter to me. But you can see it's pretty much just absolutely nothing. I mean, this fly is so minimal. This is like a micro pearl core tubing that I've probably had lying around. You can just use a piece of Flashabou if that's what you have. I dig this stuff. It's kind of weird. I don't know where I got it. I don't remember when I bought it. I've been tying for a little bit too long to remember all of that stuff, but things kind of come and go. But all I do with this is I just create just the tiniest area for, I'm just going to pull a tiny little wing case here. It's going to be pretty much nothing. iStub Peacock Black. This is ICE 283. And that's too much. Like, these 3 strands is too much for what I'm going to even do. So all I'm going to do here is just create a little bit of a nothing, and I'm going to pull a wing case, again creating more of a little bit of a nothing. It just creates that little tiny bubble back. That's all I'm really doing here. I don't mind how sparse this is. I don't mind how lack of legs that this has. I don't mind any of it. So I'm going to go ahead and whip finish right there. Just a quick, simple whip finish. I've got this little wispy nothing of a tail, and I've got this little tiny bubble back. Again, pale olive marker, and I'm going to darken down my wing case as well. I want it to have flash, but I also want it to be a little bit darker in nature. So we have Loon Outdoors. This is the olive fly finish. It's blue winged olive, so it seems like the fitting color, right? I'm going to go ahead and just kind of darken this down, and you're going to see this fly go even darker. You probably don't even need to color the bottom of it, but I do it just, and then we'll go ahead and cure. You can see that tail kind of pops underneath the UV light, and I kind of dig that, especially on those overcast days. Just that little bit of extra pop and love really does seem to help attract the fish a little bit. This is a little bit of a hot mess right here. This is just a little bit of flow, and I'm just going to put that on there and let it just marinate in there. I'm not going real fast. This is like a 100% fiberglass fly at this point. This thing's going to catch at least 70 trout all in one day, probably in 2 runs, but it'll be a super good little box filler. You just get a little bit of flash, a little bit of a bubble. You get that icy 283 Peacock black in there, and I coated the back but not the bottom, so it's still a little lighter on the bottom, darker on the back. As this rolls through the water like this, it's going to get kind of eaten up quite a bit. And again, that's like my little winter Baetis fly. I'll tie it down to like a size 20. I know that sounds horrible to fish. Believe me, I don't like fishing them either, but I'll go all the way down to like a 1.5 mil bead. And you guys can change this up. Put on a hot bead, put on a gold bead, silver bead, whatever you want. But it's a super awesome little fly, little pattern. Catches a ton of fish and sticks them pretty well. So hey guys, thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time.